So I've been investing in the stock market since about 2019. And although that's not a long time, I have learned a lot from my experience investing. And that's why in this video, I want to share with you some of the things that I have learned and continue to learn as I navigate through my way through one of the greatest wealth building tools ever. So the first thing I learned is the importance of having money work for you. Now, I first heard this concept from Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? And when I read that book, and he was talking about one of the greatest secrets that the rich have is that they don't work for money. And when I heard this, I was like, wait, so what do you mean they don't work for money? Like, what do they do? Like, how do they make their money, right? And I'm sure a lot of people think this way when you first hear that. Like, all right, so what do they do? And as you read on, you continue to read and like learn and understand. You're like, oh, okay, so they they take their money invested in tools that make money for them. And I first got this experience when I started when I had an affiliate marketing business that I started back in 2016, right? I started making money back in about 2018, and when I experienced that, it was like I was making money while I sleep. I was making 5-6 figures. I was making like 5 figures a month, and through my experience of doing that, I was like, wow, this experience of making money while I sleep. Like once you get the taste of that opportunity where when you're not actually making money, actively making money. Obviously, I put in a lot of work in the beginning, but you're making money while you sleep. Once you get a taste of that, you're like, yo, okay, how do I get more of this? Like this is crazy, this is mind blowing. I've never had this experience before in my life. And when you hear that, and going back to Kiyosaki, when he talks about the rich don't work for money, and you finally experience that for yourself, you're like, all right. Your brain starts to work like, okay, how can I do more of this? Like, how can I get more of this rush? And obviously, as you learn, you learn about the stock market, you learn about real estate investing, you learn about investing in businesses, and you're like, all right, I gotta figure out ways to do this more. I gotta figure out ways to make money work for me, because obviously, as you get older, you don't want to have to work for the money for the rest of your life. So you have to find ways to do that, and it's important for and even if you're someone that's not entrepreneurial, you don't want to start a business. At the very least, you could be investing in things like real estate and also the stock market. So you want to get to a point where you're not focused on actively working for your money for the rest of your life. You want to start putting your money into investment tools that's going to be making money work for you. And especially as you get older, then you can use that money and use that nest egg to retire. So the importance of having money work for you is one of the most mind-blowing feelings that you get to experience. And once you see your account making money, you're like, oh, I'm not putting any effort. Like it's just making money on top of money. It's a very good experience to have. So the second thing I learned is don't panic, right? Obviously I started in 2019 investing. And then 2020 hit, then you had the pandemic, and then you see that huge drop in the stock market. My dumb self, I took the money out, and then eventually I put it back in. But the fact that I took that money out was just clearly shows that I wasn't in control of my emotion. I wasn't ready for what the stock market had, prepared for me, or had in store for me, right? Or in store for everyone that's investing in the stock market. But someone that was inexperienced, that level of drop, scared me. I panicked and I was like, "Whoa, that's a lot of money." I thought I lost. But remember, you don't lose money until you take it out the stock market. Which is what I did. But eventually, I put it back in. But you want to be able to control your emotions when it comes to the stock market, because you're going to see a lot of volatility when it comes to the stock market. It's going to go up, it's going to go down. It's going to be scary at times. You're like, "Oh my God, the world is ending." But you want to get to a point where you know what. The stock market does recover. It always has, and until you see otherwise, it always will, right? And if it gets to a point where stock market just crashes, trust me, we got bigger things to worry about than just your money, because that would be a good thing for the country. But being able to control your emotions when it comes to the stock market is a very important skill, a very important thing that you have to be able to control, because you'll see a lot of volatility when it comes to the stock market, and the one thing you want to do is make sure you don't panic. Now the third thing is you have to be okay with risk, right? Without risk, there's no rewards, right? And that's what the stock market is. Like, look, we take a risk every time we step out the door and get into a car, right? But we know that we understand that risk, and we understand that we have to get to where we're going. Well, when it comes to building wealth, when it comes to making money, when it comes to retirement, then you need to understand that taking risk is something that investing in the stock market is a risk that's almost necessary to take. You have to take that risk, right? And there's ways where you can mitigate risk, right? And that's like there's ways where you can focus on mitigating risk, which is by investing in ETFs, right? And ETFs is just a stock of a bunch of companies in one little stock, where you don't have to worry about investing in one stock and one company. If that company goes out of business, you lose all your money. But the ETF, you have a bunch of companies like S&P 500. We have 500 companies. If one goes out of business, you still have others that are still holding up that stock. So that's one way to mitigate risk. But you have to understand that if you're someone that's going to build wealth over time, you're someone that wants to have control over your financial future. Taking risk is a necessary thing. You just have to find ways to mitigate that risk and understand you're taking a calculated risk where you're not going to hurt yourself. And being diversified is a great way to do that. And ETFs is another way where you can be diversified in your portfolio. Now, the fourth thing I learned was you don't have to look at your portfolio every day. I remember when I first started investing in stocks, I was looking at my portfolio every day. You see it go green, you see it go red. It's pointless. It's stupid. There's no need for you to do that because that's not where the money is made, right? The money is made in the long term, right? So you, instead of like checking every day, you want to get to a point where you're checking every 6 to 12 months, or if you could check it every year just to see what kind of return you're getting in that year. That'd be the best way to do it. But checking it every day, you're gonna drive yourself crazy. There's no point in doing it. It's stupid. That's not where your money's gonna be made. It's gonna go up. It's gonna go down. It's gonna drop 5%, 2%. It doesn't matter. It's like you have to have the long-term view and say, all right, let me check it every 6 months to a year and see where I'm at. But looking at it every day is something I don't do anymore. But I remember when I first started, I was looking at that thing every day. But that's one thing I learned that you don't need to do when it comes to investing in stocks. The fifth thing is ETFs are a great way to invest passively. I spoke about this a little earlier, and like I said, for a lot of people, I understand that researching is very hard, right? Like researching everything that you want to invest in, because when you're investing in stocks or investing period in anything, you have to do your research. You have to educate. You have to learn what you're investing in. And for a lot of people, I know it's hard to do that. But the great thing about ETFs, it allows you to invest passively, like without having to worry about it. Like ETFs, like if you're investing in stock, you would have to learn so much about that stock and say, all right, what the finances look like, why, and then why you're investing in that company. And there's just so much work that legwork you have to do. But with ETFs, like I said, you have a collection of companies, depending on what kind of ETF that you invest in, where you can just say, you know what, all right, I know what I'm investing in. I know it's diversified. It's a safe way to invest, where you can just every month invest in that ETF and without having to be like do much research. And for a lot of people, ETFs is a great way to invest passively, where you don't have to have too much focus and education, and just make sure every month you're just taking you're allocating whatever percentage of your income into that ETF. So it's a great way to invest, and I would recommend like everyone get into that ETFs and learn about doing that, and then pick an ETF. S&P 500 is a great one, and just put your money into that every month. Just allocate a certain percentage of your income, and make sure, like they always say, pay yourself first. So what I've learned is ETFs are a great way to invest passively. All right, number 6, education has to be a priority, right? Like this is a must. Like I understand everyone's busy, right? Like we have some people work a lot of people work 9 to 5, so they don't really have the time to educate themselves when it comes to their finances and develop that financial literacy, right? But it has to be a priority, because like your future is at stake, right? A lot of people struggle when it comes to retiring. People relying on Social Security. There's no guarantee that Social Security will be there, depending on how old you are. There's no guarantee that will be there for you, and even if it was there for you, that's not something you want to rely on, for the rest of your life as well, because it's supposed to be a supplemental. It's not supposed to help you live and help you pay your bills as you get older. But it has to be a priority, and there's so many ways to do it. Like you're doing it now. You're on YouTube and watching videos. Just books you can read. What I've started doing now is also like reading, watching like CNBC finances and Bloomberg TV, watching them just to get to understand the language, just to understand what they're saying, like why they're saying it, and get a more in-depth understanding of the financial markets. And I'm reading books like every day to help understand. Also, I'm doing that to also create content, because I want to obviously share that information with you guys. But you have to constantly educate yourself. It has to be a must, and also, of course, make sure you're be careful who you listen to, right? Because you have all these analysts on there. They give you all these stocks, these recommendations, invest in this, invest in that, but they really don't know. You shouldn't be relying on people to invest in to invest anyways. You should be doing your own research, but listen to what they say and then try to understand why they're saying it. And that's what I'm trying to do, because I'm trying to just make sure I'm constantly learning and constantly educating myself through books, through articles, obviously watching CNBC, Bloomberg TV, just to hear what people are talking about and see what's going on. And then obviously coming analyzing it myself based on the things that I've learned. So education has to be a priority. Find some time during the day. You know, there's always something you can sacrifice. You know, whether it's watching TV, you know, watching movies, or playing video games, or doing things that, you know, aren't really like helping you when it comes to your finances. Like take the time to make educating yourself when it comes to your finance a priority, and you'll see how much better you'll become when it comes to, you know, building that wealth. The final thing that I've learned about, you know, investing in the stock market is it's a great way to build wealth. Like, I mean, it's one of the best tools of building wealth that, you know, that you'll find here in the U.S. And we all have to be participating in that, because we have to make sure that building wealth is a priority. Because it's just hard to survive now on just active income, right? Like, active income right now is you know, whatever job that you're working, depending on unless you're a lawyer, doctor, engineer, like, people are struggling. Like the wages that people have, especially with people's spending habits, it's hard to just get by on what you have right now, unless you're very good financially, which you should be. You should be spending less than you make, but you have to get to a point where, you know, you have to be putting your money into tools where it's making money for you. You just can't be relying on the active income, whether that's to real estate, whether through that's the stock market or any other investment tool. You have to make, you know, building wealth is a necessary, and we have to all, you know, take a more active role in doing that. So definitely, if you're someone that's not investing in the stock market now, hopefully this provided a little bit of motivation, because you can do it. You just got to do a little bit of education, continue to do the research like you're doing now, watching videos, and just, you know, get started, because it's very important. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you got any comments or questions, make sure you leave it down below. Hit the like button, share, and if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. All right, so you guys take care and have a good one. Later.